All right, so the Giants fired Brian Daboll. I'm gonna be honest. I like the potential him and Dart had, knowing the offensive play caller that Brian Daboll is. That's my only problem. Now, it's his fault that he couldn't get that defense right. It's his fault it took him this long to get a team headed look have some kind of hope for the future. It's his fault, right? This is 4 years in, so he needed to do a better job of building an actual team around Daniel Jones and Dart, and he didn't do that. So I don't blame them. I just wish he would have done a better job because I do think him and Dart could have been a legendary pairing if he would have done a better job. But he didn't. Um, so that's on him. That's on him at the end of the day. So that does suck. But look, I understand it for the Giants, and it makes sense. It's more about just offense, team building, drafting. All these guys, you drafted a bunch of duds, and that kind of stuff. So uh, it's all about team building. He didn't do a good job of that. You're not an offensive coordinator anymore. You're everything. So everything falling, special teams falls on you. Kicker was a big issue for the Giants this year. They missed the extra point versus Denver, right? Like that was a big issue for them, and and then it was a big issue this year. It showed up in Denver, right? So special teams never got to figure it out at a high level. So I don't blame the Giants for doing that, and I understand completely. Now, if I'm the Giants, I'm going to get Joe Brady up in I'm going to get Joe Brady up in Buffalo. He's my number one guy for all the NFL teams. I think Joe Brady's a wizard. Joe Brady coached the 20. He was offensive coordinator, play caller for the 2019. I was Cincinnati Bengals. What was I mean? Two of them did play for the Bengals. 2019 LSU Tigers. He was their play caller, so he schemed up the whole thing, and he's been a play caller in Buffalo. He schemed it all up for Josh Allen, and they fired. I mean, they fired the previous offensive coordinator, and he took over just like I think a year ago, over a year ago, and ever since then they've been a lot better. I think you get him in New York with Malik Neighbors, Wanda Robinson, another first round pick at receiver, Jackson Dart, Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterboo, an offensive line that's really vastly improved. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke, Tyler Nubin, Javon Holland, all those dudes over there. This Giants team is not far away from being a team that could compete for a Super Bowl. I'm just telling you now. I mean, they almost watching Chicago beat Chicago. Now Chicago's not all that of a team. They'll probably be first round exits. I can almost guarantee it. But yeah, if I'm the Giants, I think it's a race to get Joe Brady. That guy's an offensive mind. He just has a way of calling plays. And think about it too. Joe Brady has not had a number one receiver. Remember, Joe Brady he had Justin Jefferson and he had Jamar Chase, and he had dominant receivers. He has not had that in Buffalo. Buffalo's had a lot of good number two options, and he's had James Cook, and James Cook has been dominant in the system. But he's not had a number one receiver in Buffalo. I think that's truly held his offense back because you don't have somebody you can count on and open up the other stuff for the wide receiver too. Because you're asking dudes who are number twos, number threes, number fours to be number ones and number twos, which is not their role, or to be number ones and that kind of stuff. So I think that's what held his offense back from being truly dominant and unstoppable. Neighbors is a number one. All right, so you give him a Neighbors and then you give that dominant number one receiver, everything else is going to open up. I trust Joe Brady. This team's not far away. I think Giants really, honestly, corner is a big issue for them. They need to address that. Another linebacker next to Okereke would need to be addressed. The D line is set. I mean, you could get some depth pieces, but between Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Abdul Carter, you don't need much more than what you got already. And then you look at the O line. You can add some pieces on the O line. Obviously, you got Thomas, but you need more. Elminer, but I think he's up for free agency this year, so you need to address the O line. But you got your two running backs. You got Neighbors and Wanda Robinson. You got two tight ends, Bellinger and Theo Johnson, who are two of the best tight end, one of the best tight end dudes in the league. It's hard to beat what they got right now. They don't need much more. You shore up the O line. You go fix the corner position. You go add another linebacker, and you add some depth at the D line spot. I think this Giants team can easily be a contender a year or two from now. If you do it right, you can be a contender this time next year. But a year or two from now, Joe Brady could be playing for a Super Bowl or making a run at it and being a continuous team to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So, if I'm for Giants, it's Joe Brady, and I can't think of anybody else. But for right now, yeah, it's Joe Brady for sure. I like it. But you got to get the right guy. If it's not Joe Brady and it's somebody else, it's gonna be questions. I gotta be honest. But I'm not mad at it. Now, when it comes to Dable, if I'm in Houston, Texas, I'm running, right? Houston, Texas, And the Detroit Lions, and especially the Buffalo Bills, need to be running to call Brian Daboll. If I'm Daboll, I'm not going to Detroit. Detroit with Jared Goff, you're never going to win nothing in no big games with him. Or you're not going to be able to win the Super Bowl with him. So I'm out. And I'm not sold on that. And when it comes to Buffalo, Josh Allen, I think Buffalo may be heading on a decline. And Sean McDermott, maybe, don't be surprised if Sean McDermott gets fired. I mean, and the GM. Like Buffalo's, they're not looking impressive. I mean, 6-3, they're not going to win the division most likely. But no, most likely New England is. I can even look at it here. I'm sorry for that, but I am not impressed with what is going on in Buffalo. I think McDermott may be out. Just hasn't the defense is not impressive. The offense has a lot of good weapons, but he hasn't gotten the number one for Josh Allen. And he's I mean, so it's just like I think his time may be up. And I wouldn't blame Buffalo fans for firing him, but you got to hire the right guy. And is this the year to go? Who's the guy you want? You know. So that's that with Buffalo. But McDermott maybe on the way out a year or two from now. Um, so we'll see how that works out. Uh, and then when it and then when it comes to Houston, Houston's a place you can be there for as long as you want. Houston has a championship level defense. All they need is somebody like Ryan Daboll to call plays. You don't got to worry nothing else. Get your guys. Tell them who you want. Free agency draft. What's the best? And let's go get them. Trade. You got your franchise quarterback. You be there for a long time. Fix the O line, all that kind of stuff, and he can be the elite offensive play caller that he is. If I'm Houston, I'm running to get Brian Daboll. If it makes more sense to be there, you're going to be there long term. You know that. With Detroit and Buffalo, I can see both those teams headed on the decline, or things are going to get ugly because both these teams are not going to win Super Bowl. And eventually, those front offices, organizations are going to get impatient and say something needs to change because we're not winning the way we should be. So if I'm Brian Daboll, I'll go to Houston. I think it's a match made in heaven. It's perfect, and not perfect, but it's perfect, close to perfect as it gets when it comes to matchmaking. And so if I'm Houston, I am I'm running to get that done. And I think he should go there as the best out of the three I could think of that need an offensive coordinator.